Hopefully we've got audio good.
You're snapping at me. I'm like, I don't know what you want me to do.
Yeah. I can see that.
Smack him.
I know.
Now.
Like, is this how you talk to your wife?
Now.
Okay.
No, it's the audio left thing. Let's see, recording and muted. Okay, we should be all set.
We're good to go?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we will call the meeting to order and review the agenda for any adjustments, items to be added or taken on. Anything?
No, nothing.
Not public forum. There is no
nobody
public.
here.
Department head round table.
There's no one there.
Treasurer there.
Grants, we have Frida.
Okay.
Everybody else is gone.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Frida.
Happy holidays.
Yeah.
Just a quick and all around good news check-in from here. We're this time of year kind of working on closing out and drawing down anything that we can. So doing really great work there. We just got the Fed share of just over 9,000 and my admin cost reimbursed of just about 600 for the 2024 storm event from FEMA, which was primarily Ireland Road damage. We are now waiting on the state share of that, and then that one will be closed out. Hooray. And very soon we are expecting the same set of payments to come in for the 2023 storm event, which affected a whole bunch of little areas all over town that actually ended up being quite a bit of money. So that'll be coming in very soon, we think. And that will close out all of your FEMA events, which is excellent. And we had interest in the state has announced another award that's opening up for what I call it tree money. It's the USC or UFC, I think, funds. So want to know what the town's interest is in applying for additional funds for that. You have previously got awards. You have a current award right now of 50,000 that you're still working on spending down and closing out, but something to think about, and I'll propose it in a January meeting if you want to sign the form to apply. And similarly, we have an offer before us from the state if we choose to proceed with it. This stems out of the Basin Street project. When we were desperately seeking to close that funding gap, we went after a single element of the project. You'll probably remember the Basin Street retaining walls project, which was essentially to bury them, not really to rehab them much other than just to bury them. That did end up getting awarded. Ironically, it's just before us right now whether we want to sign the agreement or not. It came through after the town had sort of collectively decided to pause that giant project in and of itself. So I think we'll probably make that decision when the town administrator is back, but it is something I would like you guys to think about. Do we want to do that burying of those retaining walls as a single project since we did get awarded the funds to do so? The town would get it done as cheap as you're ever going to get it done. So if you ever want to do it, it would be the time to do it. So that's something to think about. And otherwise, we're just collecting money on work that's already been done. So we're in good shape there.
Frida, how much was that grant?
The one for the retaining walls? 100-something thousand. We got an award, an agreement from the state that's not signed yet. They're waiting for the town's response. But it would essentially be about, well, the town's required match is 10%. So you're looking at about a 90% payback on that project if you say yes to doing it.
Well, that's pretty good.
It's as good as you're going to get, I think. And as long as we all agree to support the funding of it, and I'm as good as anyone you're going to get as far as collecting the money back quickly. We could really feasibly do that project very fast and just get the town's money back lickety split, which would be real nice. I think that's my 2 cents. I think it's advisable to do it if you have any reason at all in the future to use that road really any more than it's currently being used. I think it serves very few properties, as I understand, but it also accesses your wastewater system currently. So My 2 cents is it's worth considering doing. We would collect the money back as fast as we spent it, so.
Yeah, the only thing we'd have to do some sort of drainage if you said it's filling that bank and not building the retaining walls?
Right, we have the proposal already to do the work, but you are right. I think it would affect drainage, yes.
Yeah, there would be some drainage that would have to go in, but that wouldn't be I mean, that's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I agree with Frida. I think it's a good project. I've been emailing her and Greg about that. I spoke with Eric about it and I spoke with Chris Lathrop about it. And it seems like we could do it separately and not affect what we would do later on down the road
That's
with the
gonna
other
be
parts of the
the
project. Definitely on one side, if we're looking at the road on the left side, that's an easy, no issues there. On the other side, we'd have to be careful. One of the questions I had for Frida is that since we haven't committed yet, is it possible to change the scope of that? Or if we wanted to change certain bits, would we be allowed to do that? And it seems like, because we're still in sort of this acceptance stage, we might be able to do that, and without issue. So I do think it's a good thing. Greg's going to review it. And then, because we've already, applied for the grant, I think Greg could just, I don't know if it requires our approval or Greg could just approve it, but I do think it's a good chunk of money that we could save. And we have that in the capital, road fund.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at probably 2 catch basins and a pipe in between them to deal with the drainage, so.
Yeah,
Probably another 20.
right. The only thing is that the fill affects the sluice area right there, so you
Yeah.
have to just be aware of that. But I
Yeah.
think.
That's what I mean, you'd have to
We
do
could design something
there.
around it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All right, that's all I have. Thank you so much and Merry Christmas.
You too,
Thanks,
Frida.
Jill.
Zoning, AZ.
Hello.
We
That
got,
sounds
we
so
got a camera.
excited.
You're just a camera on. Oh, there you go.
There you are.
Yeah, I was testing my audio and then my camera decided not to turn on either. Um, I figured I would come on and just give a little update since I've been out on medical leave, but some exciting stuff for the end of the year and then looking forward into the new year. Um, the, the Planning Commission will be working on the town plan update as we receive the municipal planning grant, which will be exciting. I'm working on new zoning applications and FAQs and information for the public that will be going live at the beginning of the new year, January 1st. The town viewer is now live for the public, the GIS system. All the data is up to date. It's looking really nice. State data is up to date. It's available on the town website in a bunch of different places so people can access it. And then one other thing, zoning wise.
West Street. Coping.
What?
West
Oh,
Street.
that's planning wise. I'm thinking zoning wise. I've been working on the applications all day today, so I'm very application minded. I think that's it for that. Planning wise, yes, the West Street scoping study. I have a draft letter that I've been working on with VHB to send out to the owners of the gas station to get their kind of initial, just to see if they'd be willing to do an easement with the town or if they don't want us in there right away at all, to try to get some like true feedback from them. And gonna send that out beginning of next week, hoping for a response, but just wanted to show the select board what that would look like. Have the letter here. Just to, I'm giving them a timeline of like 3 weeks for a response, so we're not holding up the project, waiting for their feedback, but also to make sure that because I know there was concern about impact on their business or if they would even be willing to sign on an easement, so figured why not be direct. and talk to them.
Are you sending the other plan too?
I'm gonna mention it, but I can absolutely send them the plans as well.
I just think they should be
Aware
aware
of
of.
what the two options were
Yeah.
in that.
Yeah, I can add that on there and get that sent out. This is why I wanted to run it by y'all. But it's just a simple like, hey, this is what we're thinking about doing. Last chance to give some feedback, some review. And then we'll get moving with the rest of the project and wrapping up the final report.
I think it will be good to show them the alternatives because they might basically say like, no, we don't want to give you an easement, so just no sidewalk. And I think they need to understand that there will be a sidewalk. It's just a question of placement. And that's the
Yep.
conversation I want to have with them is about the placement.
Yep, I'll add that on there before it gets sent out. And the select board will be CC'd on this communication, the digital copy.
Great.
Okay.
I
Thank
mean,
you.
did we, when we had this meeting a couple of weeks ago, the board, I mean, we talked a lot about the various options. Was there one that we favored in terms of the sidewalk close to the building versus the bump out?
I think we were mixed.
I know.
Yeah.
So,
I think if my memory serves me right, I think that they were more in favor of going straight across
The
Yeah.
bump
and
out,
putting the
exactly.
raised section in.
yeah,
Exactly. That's what I
Okay.
remember
I
too.
think that's where,
That's
but there was,
Yeah.
yeah,
I was
But we have
concerned that it was gonna be a burden on the business is my biggest concern.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it would just be sort of adaptation with it too, but talking to AZ last week, it was sort of, I didn't want to get, one of the ideas after that meeting was, I didn't want to get too far along and have them present a final scoping study with a version that we knew that we couldn't actually do because a property owner had
Right.
said, nope, I don't want to have anything to do with this. So
Mhm.
by AZ working on this now, it at least gives us an idea, oh, they're interested in doing this because they don't want something that could impact their business in this negative way. And at least we know that we had options when we get that final report.
Mhm. Although
I think that's a better way to proceed than to just go ahead and, I mean, personally,
Yeah.
I mean. Cause I think that out front there, the curb would really impact their business.
Mhm.
I think it's probably the safest and the cleanest,
right.
but Yeah.
It would be a learning curve.
Right.
I mean, it
Yeah.
would be just like putting up a stop sign where people aren't used to it.
Right.
They'd have to get used to the
Right.
new
Yeah.
traffic pattern
But it would force the cars to be a little bit safer. I mean,
going in and out.
yeah, like almost every day I really slow down there because I know there's gonna be some crazy maneuver that you're like, oh, I didn't think any try to do that.
As they reverse out of there.
Or like, I'm gonna go left, so I'm
Yeah.
going to like pull out in
Hey
front of
Cindy,
ways.
Yeah.
how you doing?
Yeah, I agree. I think the straight across would be the safest and cars would learn. But I heard the select board's kind of mixed feedback and wanted to get some direct feedback from Champlain because if they're not even willing to do an easement, then we have a clear, like,
Yeah.
okay, great, we're gonna go forward.
this is what you're gonna get.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my little round table.
I think they ought to see the other option just so they know what we're thinking.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you
Yeah.
can even say that the select board did favor option C, which is the bump out. So I think you should let them
Mhm.
know the direction that we're potentially looking at.
Right.
But we're offering this up to be able to show what,
Alternatives.
yeah,
Right.
what the alternatives might be.
To start a discussion.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And then, I mean, if
Yeah.
we put it in front of the store, we're gonna need to ask them to turn the door so it swings in instead of out. You're gonna like.
Right, okay.
Anything else, AZ?
I mean, I have the town view up to show, but it's pretty much still the same as the preliminary I was showing you. It's just like little tweaks. If anyone would like to see that, but I know not everyone's a mapping nerd.
I'm gonna go play around with it after the meeting, so.
Yeah, I highly recommend just like spending a little while just checking out all the layers. It's you can see all the zoning districts, the flood hazard. They added the measurements from the tax maps that show like the depths of lots and all that. So fun
that's-
stuff.
I have
Yeah.
owner information and all that, like
Like
the lister card
updated?
information on it. Yeah,
They have the parcel, and then they have the owner, um,
Okay.
that information, the owner,
Best.
address, the assessed value. Yes, all the listers information in there.
We can really find out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I like to think about it as learning about my neighbors instead of being nosy.
There's a hunting app that gives you all of that.
Maybe use that too.
Homing app,
Hunting.
Okay.
hunting, okay.
Thanks, Daisy.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Happy all.
You too.
too.
Thanks, AZ.
Alright, we don't have.
Nope.
No one else?
Treasure
Yes.
or recreation, consent agenda, approval of past meeting minutes. And authorized warrants and liquor and tobacco licenses. Do we have warrants?
Yeah,
We
we
do, I don't know where it is.
Didn't she leave a message saying, telling you it was on her desk?
Did she?
Yes,
I think she left Michelle a message
yeah,
there.
$70,128.94.
I saw it, I saw the like
In
warrant
emails.
in the
Oh, I
email,
see.
but I didn't see it.
But her door's locked. She locks her door.
I don't know what to tell you.
Climb
We're
over.
fine.
Free to put a message in the chat.
Okay.
I'll go look.
$131,949 was the structures retaining wall grant. And then I think, Du Bois King's estimate was 141,000, so it's pretty close with our 10% match. Thanks for it. Okay, I'm gonna go to that. And so, yeah, I'll repeat that. The warrant was $70,128.94. This,
And no liquor and tobacco license.
And the,
No.
and the.
I got meeting minute notes from Michelle. Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I second.
Any further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Regular business. Water Commission, review engineering contract amendment 2 for phase 2 Bristol West line replacement project.
Okay, Steve's on tonight. This gives an update on that. Good evening, Steve.
Did you unmute him? Because you
Should be-
muted him back.
No,
He was co-host.
he's good.
Yeah.
Steve, you there? Are you trapped?
Probably went
He was
to get a
talking to
drink,
somebody on the
right?
phone.
Maybe he's on the phone. You there, Steve? You on the phone? Come back to us, Steve.
So we could talk about the water
We
budget.
can skip and come back.
We could. no, he's taking a call.
We can go
Go to the
down
next
to E. Which is consideration of separation of article for Bristol Rescue Squad budget
Okay.
from town meeting.
So this came up as a discussion with Sharon. We were looking through, talking about budgets and talking about appropriations. I was trying to find out, and as we fill in the budget blanks, what changes every year. The library, because of its nature, never has to have signatures when their budget changes each year. Rescue Squad is now in a similar situation because their new calculation when they make their budget is something that will change each year. This year actually stays the same, but it does change on the population of Bristol. So every year it has the potential to change, and they are required to get signatures as per our policy. This is to see if as a board, we want to, that's okay, Steve. If we want to, have it make them exempt from having to get signatures because they're emergency services. And their budget would change each year. Most other organizations on the list, their budgets don't change.
I do know, they went to a per capita.
Yeah.
The only thing that would make me nervous is if they were to change that amount,
Okay.
if they were to change the amount per person.
Yeah.
If they change the amount due to population, I don't have a problem with it, but if
Okay.
they change the base number,
Or the way they're calculating it,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
then I would think we would want, I mean,
at least over to,
I don't think. I think we would at least want them to come to us and tell us what
Yeah.
was going
and I
on.
think they'd be fine with doing that.
Mhm.
It helps them because every year, or the last few years, they've had to get, 170 whatever signatures for that, as other social organizations do, and they change the amount. But Sharon and I I was just asking her, like, are there certain ones on there that you want to have that changed? And that was one that she mentioned, just because of the nature of the services they provide and
Right.
the fact that it could change each year because of our population. And so similar to the library, it would just be an article that we would have. And we would just say that it's on there as an article with their budget, and they wouldn't have to get the signatures each year. As
Well,
opposed
it
to
would
being-
be a separate article
Yes,
too.
a separate
so
article,
That
as opposed to
way,
in the list. Yeah,
that way people could ask questions from the floor
Correct.
as well.
yeah,
Yeah, I just, I think that the public has a right to know what's going on. I think
Yeah.
we should know what's
Yeah.
going on. So maybe if we do change it, then they come and
Okay.
at least sit before the board.
yep,
That way the public knows if they choose to,
okay.
they know.
Yeah, I mean, not often, we require that each organization send a letter each year, saying whether it's gonna change or remain the same, so we have that from that organization, and we require the same of them as well. With this, it would just be that they wouldn't have to get the signatures, but I think, any major change, I think, needs to be brought to our attention, and because it's such a close organization to Bristol, I think that I don't see any issue with them doing that.
Yeah, I have a problem with paying for the service. I just think it's like every service we provide, we talk about here.
Yeah,
And if,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I talked to him today because I was getting the budget figure, and he said having not the ability not to get signatures, it just would be really helpful for the organizations. That one less thing
Yeah.
they have to worry about each year, as their budget changes.
And when do they submit the letter about their budget? Like,
They submitted
far in
it.
advance?
Most people submit around October, November.
Okay, so we have plenty of time to
Correct.
follow up if we have questions, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds okay to me too.
So I'd entertain a motion to that effect.
I move that we have a separate article for the Bristol Rescue Squad budget for town meeting day 2026
And exempt them from signatures
and exempt them from signatures.
going forward.
Yeah.
Okay. Second.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Okay.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. All
Good.
right,
Thank
now back to Steve.
All right. Hi, Steve.
Hey, where's everybody? Whoops, sorry.
Good.
Not too bad.
Yeah, happy holidays, everybody. Thank you. I'm sorry, I was here. I got a call from the folks that are handling your funding at the state 5 minutes before I was going to be on, so I was on the phone with her. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thought it might be helpful before we jump into where we're going, maybe to talk a little bit about where we've been.
Sure.
So we are at the end of the design permitting stage for Bristol West. Okay. We had a budget. Sorry, let me pull this up. We had a budget of, I have this at my fingertips here somewhere. I believe it was 280,000. We're going to be under budget by about 5%. Okay. We have a couple of $1,000 in invoices coming in this month, but that's it. So we're doing great. I mean, things are on track. We're on schedule. I'll talk a little about what we received over the last week. It's kind of been a push here at the end, right? It always is. The state is super busy. The people we have on this team from the state are really, really good people. They're just overwhelmed, right? They've got a third of the number of people they need to do what they're being asked to do. So when we submit something, and Ian's been really close to a lot of this stuff too the last 5 or 6 months, and I say to him, okay, our limitation is going to be not on our end, it's going to be getting us to the state. And it's been months and months and months of phone calls and emails and phone calls. So they're still behind, but we're making ground. So our goal, we go, can I have the screen here? I don't know if I can we share?
Share, you're a co-host.
Okay, how do I go in and, all right, what do I need to do? I need to share here somewhere, share.
You should be able to just share and choose your screen.
Just be careful which screen you share.
Yeah.
I've learned with my
What are you
students.
accusing them of looking at, Jessica?
There we go.
Are you looking at a spreadsheet or were you looking at a spreadsheet?
Which one do you want us to look at?
Now.
This one, which one? You got a bunch of both.
This is a colors one, lots of
This one's
colors.
bids received.
Colors, okay. I just had one up here a second ago. Where did that go?
Make sure you share the right one.
Here we go.
EM engineering.
Schedule. Can you see that schedule? Let me
Yeah.
zoom in for you. It doesn't like it when I do that. Anyway, let's just talk a little about schedule. So here is,
Back to
Okay, there you
can everybody see that a little bit at least?
Mhm.
Zoom in a little further. Okay, so that the step 2 means that's our design phase, right? We're 100% done, other than I'm waiting on Cindy, which I just spoke to 2 minutes ago, by the way. I'm waiting on her review of the front end bid spec, the bid documents, right? Those are all the legalese, so to speak, of the bid that goes out. So when we release this bid, we advertise, and it, I've got a list of 25 contractors, a lot of them local, a lot of them all over the state for the most part. I'll call and email all of those folks. In addition, it goes on the state's website, and we get calls from people from all over New England. Right? You're going to generate some interest in this bid, I believe, which is great. That's exactly what we need and we wanted. Right? The more interest, the better the pricing you're going to get. So we're pretty well done this phase. I just need a final email from her saying, yes, I agree with everything in the bid specs, or no, I have a recommendation or two, and here it is. We're going to talk a little about that in a minute, but this phase is essentially done. We're into step 3, which is the construction phase now. Okay. Can everybody see this?
Yeah.
Everything in green, right, has already been done. Amendment number 2, that's now been done, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Official bid period. We were supposed to begin on December 15th. I have been waiting on Cindy to send us a letter, which we received this afternoon.
Oh, good.
And we'll talk a little about that letter. She just called me in a panic. She was on her way home for another meeting, and she said, I made a mistake in the letter. And I said, yeah, I can tell you exactly what it is. She said, yeah, you're right. So that has been done, but we're going to get an amended letter from her, and I'll explain that in a minute. We have pre-bid meetings scheduled for the 15th of January, which means any of the people that are interested, after we get all of these notifications out, at that point, we will send them, all of the plans and specs, normally electronically, and we'll all sit down. We'll also be able to do this via Zoom if people don't want to come into the town. And we'll have basically turns into a 2-hour meeting. Here's our project. Here's all the specs. Here are the things to look out for. Here's what we expect from you as a contractor. Here are the limitations in terms of traffic control and one-way streets, and what we're going to allow you to do in terms of shutdowns and everything else that will be helpful for them. Lay down areas, stockpile areas. So everything that they would need, hopefully, to be able to provide a very reasonable bid for your project. The more information we can give them, the lower the bid you're going to get, because they don't have to guess. If we give them places to work from and lay down areas and all of those kinds of things, so they don't have to hunt around to private locations and try to lease land and do all these different things that cost money. And when they're bidding the project, a lot of times they don't have time to do that. We also provide them with, here's the materials that we spec'd out for X, Y, and Z, and here's where you can get them all. Okay, even locally, here are the pits you can use, and here's the material that we pre-approved. So it provides them with a reasonable sense of surety, and you guys are the lower price at the end of the day. So that, based on a conversation I just had with Cindy, we may push that date back. Sorry, it was January 15th was the date we were going to hold a pre-bid meeting. We may push that back a week, and let me explain what happened. She sent us a letter a few minutes ago, this afternoon actually, essentially approving all of the costs, all of the engineering costs for the construction oversight. right? And certification at the end, which is my part in the field. Basically, the law requires you guys to have an engineer on site or an engineer's representative on site the entire time they're constructing, right? And when we're done, we need to do all the as-built, certification, letter of the state, oversee all the testing and everything else that goes on. Obviously, there's a cost associated with that. The state came out with a construction fee curve in 2011, believe it or not, and they haven't updated it since. So basically, what they said is, you know, if your project costs are estimated to be this is what we're willing to pay in terms of the state's reimbursement to the consultant, and anything over that, the town or local municipality has to eat on their own. And as I've said to Cindy, and I think every consultant out there has been complaining to say, look, the fees that you guys put together in 2011 are no longer valid, right? I don't know of anyone who hasn't raised the rates since 2011. Every one of you and every one of us has gotten a raise since 2011. It isn't reasonable what they allow us to charge anymore. But that said, it is what the state's at. They went through a whole process this summer to update that, and they haven't implemented it yet. Had they implemented it, you guys would be far under what I've told them this is going to cost. I came up with an estimate based on, this is purely based on number of hours in the field. Where is it? Right here. Okay. Okay. So what we're anticipating for the Bristol West project is a 2-year project, 2 construction season project, as you guys all know, right? We've talked a lot about this and all the reasons for that. That essentially means about 58 weeks of time. If we start mid-April, we'll have a winter shut, mid-April of 26, let's say, right? We have a winter shutdown in mid-November. We start back up again somewhere around the 1st of May of 2027, and we complete around the 15th of November. I think we're probably going to get it done quicker than that, but we'll see. That's the amount of time we're offering the contractor without penalties, right? If they exceed that amount of time, then there's $1,000 a day penalties. So this is purely about time for me, right? If this were half the amount of weeks, it'd be half the amount of cost. And these are the things that I've talked at length to Cindy about. And she agrees with me about the amount of time that we've included in here. And I said, well, you know, one of the things that the town is really concerned about is ensuring we're gonna basically shut down every one of these streets with the exception of West when we work on them, right? They're too narrow. We're not going to be able to do what we did on Pine Street and have one-way traffic for the most part. You can't, it'll be total chaos if we try to do multiple streets at one time, right? People aren't going to be parking anywhere near their houses. The traffic's going to be changing every day. Nobody's going to get deliveries, garbage, etc. And you guys are going to get 1,000 complaints, which is what we're trying to avoid. And the public isn't going to be happy with this, right? It needs to be organized. It needs to be done in a fashion that we can respond to people's concerns and complaints and not have 2 or 3 or 4 streets shut down at the same time. That's not going to be a successful project at the end of the day. And she agreed with that completely. So, you know, as I said to them, here's what the state's fee curve says based on the project size, the cost, right? And here's what I told her based on the number of hours that we have, based on the number of weeks, and I'm only assuming 45 hours a week, and I think that's a reasonable estimate. It's $381,000. So we're pretty close to the fee curve. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Zoom in a bit more.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
Zoom in a bit more on your sheet there.
Is that better?
Perfect. Thank you.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're pretty close. And what I said to her is, I would anticipate that this project is going to end early, right? We probably won't use all 58 weeks that we've anticipated in here. And we probably will be underneath what they believe to be the fee curve. But if we stretch this out, and the contractor stretches this out, not us, the contractor stretches this out to all 58 weeks, this is where we're going to end up, okay? So I think we're pretty close to their fee curve, regardless of whether the fact they've updated this in the last 15 years. We're not all that far off. The non-standard services in here are, this is VTOMs, okay? this is what we talked about over and over. You know, we're at about $75,000. I sat down with Jill and I said, okay, based on the level of effort you guys put in for Pine Street, if you had a similar level of effort, and she estimated, she said, I think we put in about 2 days a week. I said, okay, so what's your contract with the town today? She says about $80 an hour. I said, all right, so put together a proposal for me. If this were a subcontract through my company, what you would charge. And I think, you know, talking this through with the state, they were going back and forth on whether or not it should be a direct contract between the town and VTUMS. And I said, I'm fine with that either way. I said, in some of the discussions that we've had with the town wanted somebody as an independent to be able to verify the hours that are being put in, because it's being done on a time materials basis above and beyond the normal contract. And the state, in the end of the day, agreed with that. And they said, okay, great. We're on board with that too. Just run it through your contract as an engineer. I said, okay, great. I'm not even marking this up. So that's what that cost is. That's above and beyond my fees here. Okay. All in, you know, we're at about 400 and whatever, $40,000 roughly. That's the total. And that includes VTUM's time in here as well. Okay. I'm going to show you in just a sec. This is all. Okay. Here's our total project. Okay. Look at this original budget. Don't worry too much about this. Okay. You guys bonded for $3,950,000, right? Here's the engineering cost. We're going to be under that, by the way. I was just talking about, we'll be at about 275 or 80,000. Construction costs. Okay. Here's my opinion of what the construction costs are going to be from the contractor. Okay. 3,165,000. Here's the bid phase. That's my time for the next 3 months, essentially, to work on all of your bidding to get it to the point of construction. Okay. Including my recommendation to you. And there's a whole bunch of paperwork to the state that will come out of this at the end of the day. Okay. So our subtotal for total project costs are about, call it 9 million, just under 9 million, excuse me, 3,950,000. We're under that a little bit. We'll see where the bids come out. The more competitive that we can make this, the better the pricing. Okay. And I want to give you an understanding of what this means. Here's Pine Street. Okay. We had 7 bidders on Pine Street. I want people to understand what the variability in the bidding is, right? We bid this at a perfect time of year, exactly what we're trying to do here. You got bids from 617,000 up to almost 1,050,000. That's a huge spread for a project like that. And everything in between. And I expect we're going to get that same kind of spread when we bid this project as well. But the earlier we can bid this, the more competitive we can make it. The hungrier people are hungry right now, right? They want to fill up their schedules for next year and the year after. I think this is going to be viewed as a very good project for people to go after because it provides 2 years worth of work for anybody that gets it.
Yeah.
So I think we're in a great place right now. Cindy called me just before I spoke to you folks, and she said, hey, Steve, I made a mistake, and I sent that letter today. I read it this afternoon, and what jumped out at me, see if I can pull up her letter. Basically, she's saying to us she made a mistake, and I caught it right off the bat, too. Sorry, it came in today, Sunday, Monday. Okay, can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the letter we got from the state today, essentially approving all of these costs. The problem is she included VTUM's cost as part of the eligible expenses of the project, right? So in other words, I told you our cap in terms of what the state's willing to pay is $360,000. She added VTUM's almost $80,000 into this, and that shouldn't have happened, right? That's a standalone cost that's above and beyond what the normal engineering fees are. That's included in your total project cost. I mean, we've got all of that accounted for within the 3 million, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, long story short, she said, I made a mistake. I need to rewrite the letter. So I apologize. And I said, okay, I have one more question for you. Because it was clear to me that you prorated the expenses, right? You said, okay, here's what Steve's contract costs are projected to be. here's what we're willing to pay based on the ratio of 474 to 360. And I said, if we finish this project a month or two early, which I anticipate that we're going to, and the town is under the $360,000 cap, why would there be any prorating at all? And she said, I can't answer that question. And I said, well, could you do me a favor before you rewrite the letter? Could we please have a conversation with DWSRF? Because, my sense is we're going to be under this cap and 100% of this should be eligible. And she didn't disagree with that. So there's a conversation still to be had about that part of it. Stay tuned on that. It's coming. The numbers aren't going to change, but the percentages here are going to change. And I'm hopeful that they're going to agree with us and they will just say, yes, everything in here is 100% eligible up until the 360,000. And if we end up spending 375,000 and the town has to, pay $15,000 out of pocket, that's a pretty good deal for you.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be fine. I'm pretty confident. I was pretty conservative in this, and I think any contractor that does this in the first year is going to try to get more than 50% of this project done. I'd want to be in a position going into year two. I didn't have to worry about liquidated damages no matter what.
Okay.
So I think we're in great shape. Like I said, we've got the letter. We're going to get a revised letter. It's going to look a lot better than these numbers do. Hopefully they'll tell us this is going to be 100% eligible rather than prorating it so that it's 95% eligible and we have to track it all that way. I hope that's not the case. I can't make any promises right now, but there's a conversation to be had there. Where are we at? So I wanted to go back and just make sure everybody understood this. Okay. This part's done. And like I said, we're going to be under that number. Construction. If you guys have any questions, I have all of the breakdowns on this, right? It's a lot more in depth than you want to see, I think, from 10,000 feet. But here's where that number comes from. Okay. This is the construction number. And I'm glad to go over that with anybody. That number is right here. Okay. And the rest of this, here's my costs. This is the bid phase costs. This is the construction engineering, right? And here's VTON's costs. Okay. Total costs come out to be just slightly less than your bond amount. And I'm hopeful, like I keep saying, you could see the spread in the bids, right? I'm hopeful we get a couple of contractors in this that are really hungry. And this number right here comes in at like 2,700,000 or 2,800,000. And we're in a great place at that point, right? Because this number includes a 5% contingency, by the way. Okay, here's my estimate without the 5% contingency. Here's the 5% contingency. Here's the total, and that total is carried here. So that total that includes the 5% contingency. Okay. And this is a long-winded way of saying I think we're in pretty good shape. We're on track. I may, based on the conversation I had with Cindy tonight, push the date of the pre-bid meeting 1 week. I had a conversation with her about her comfort level in terms of us advertising this for bid either tomorrow or Wednesday or even into the following week. And she said, this happens all the time. And she said, if I find something in here that I want you to add, we can just include it in an amendment. It's not a big deal. And I said, well, that's probably what we'd like to do because I want to get the word out there. I want to get people talking about this and interested in this project. And that's how we get great pricing, right? That's the name of the game here. So I'm not going to bore you guys with a lot of legalese that are in the document. Ian's got the document. Greg's got the document. It's really it's an amendment to our existing contract. It's pretty much standard framework. It's right now like 40 pages, and if I showed it to you guys, everybody's eyes are going to glaze over. It's standard frameworks, exactly the same framework we use for Pine Street with a couple of modifications that the state asked us to put in. And, the only differences in this are our scope of work services obviously are different because we're working on different streets. The costs are different and the timelines are different. But other than that, it's the same basic contract. So I don't know, Ian, you and I had some conversations the other day, so please jump in. I'm perfectly comfortable whether the board wants to put this off in terms of approving the contract until the next meeting. I'll still move ahead with my stuff. I'm comfortable. I'm not worried about not getting paid. I want to make sure you guys are comfortable. If it's something you guys do want to move ahead with, great. Maybe there could be some language in motion that's made to say it needs to be approved by, the language needs to be approved. I know it's been reviewed. I don't know where Greg is with approving that yet, the language. So maybe it could be subject to somebody doing approval.
More time just because he's on vacation at the moment. So I think my recommendation is just have the board approve with, he can sign it after review. And then that doesn't hold things up, waiting for another meeting.
So my question, should I be giving it to him?
Sure, you can have it.
Speaker of the question.
Steve, when you say push the pre-bid, are you pushing it up or are you pushing it out? You go following week.
I have it. If we advertise this week, I might not push it at all. Cindy promised me she would get comments to me the first week of January. This was on the phone a few minutes ago. So they haven't met a deadline yet. You know, I'm not blaming her at all. She's actually a great person to work with. It's like I said, she's overwhelmed. So right now, if you can, is this screen showing right now, the schedule?
Yeah.
What I was suggesting is maybe pushing this 1 week. So instead of January 15th, maybe do it on the, whatever that is, 22nd.
I'm definitely with you as far as, you know, we had that conversation last week about the number of people that are showing up at.
Yep.
And the amount of money they're leaving on the table for these jobs. So I think the sooner we can get it out, the better off we are. If you're comfortable getting it advertised and keeping it at the 15th, I would love to do that.
Okay. Yeah, I am. The only hesitancy that I have there is I would like to hear from Cindy. If she has comments, I'd like to get them into an addendum or at least a discussion in the pre-bid meeting, right? Her comments are usually pretty minor. You know, change this to this, and it's very minor normally. So yeah, I'm perfectly comfortable with it. I just would like the whole team, everybody, and you guys included in this whole team, the select board, the state, the town, myself. I'd like everybody to be on the same page with what we're going to do. If it's going to be the 15th, I'm on board with that. I'll send Cindy a note and just say, hey, we had this discussion tonight, and you know, the select board would really like to stay with the 15th if it's possible.
I think that makes the most sense. Yeah. I mean, we want to get as many as possible.
Yep.
To this project.
Yep. And the sooner Peaker's right. The sooner we bid this, the hungrier people are going to be. All right. If we wait and we don't get bids back until April or May, people are going to have a lot of their dockets already filled up.
Okay.
Did you have a question? Hey, Steve, when you get a chance, look at page 13 of the amendment under resident project representative.
Okay.
Engineer will provide RPR services to assist the engineer, and I'm thinking the second engineer should be owner, but I wasn't sure.
I think you're probably right. Yeah. Somebody. Sorry.
I saw the note.
I don't have that document open, but I'm making a note here.
Okay.
Anybody that wants to review this, I'm happy to email it to them directly too. So.
Yeah. So I make a motion to have the town administrator permission to sign the document when they feel they've reviewed it enough. So do this. Okay. All right.
So I just want to clear, your motion is to allow
Greg
to review
the
and
document.
approve what's really just the amendment, right?
number 2.
The amendment.
Yes.
All right.
I just said it very poorly.
I'll second.
So we have a motion and a second to allow Greg to review the amendment.
Number 2.
Amendment 2.
Number 2 and sign, provided he's happy with it.
Correct.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Great. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks,
Thank
Dave.
you, everybody. Happy holidays.
You too.
I guess I'll edit that out, maybe.
Well, Neat should be able to do that too.
Yeah, I put it on YouTube, so I'll take that little bit out.
Why?
Well, I would just leave it in.
Then we'll see if anyone actually ever.
That's
wants to
right.
be- It'll be a test.
That's right.
All right, water commissioners, draft water budget for 26-27.
All right, I've got this.
More key.
This should be fairly
Bigger.
bigger. Should be fairly bigger.
Should be a lot bigger.
It's good.
Even the printed version is hard to see.
Well, there's a lot of lines. Okay. So
But it only takes up this much of my paper.
well, it should be, well, okay. Now we can need giant
Yeah.
spreadsheets.
This too.
So we recently did water budgets maybe 2 or 3 months ago, but we previously agreed to wrap them into our same budget cycle as all our other town budgets and police budgets, things like that. So that's why we're looking at this. So this is for FY 2027, beginning next July. So here's where we're at currently in terms of what we budgeted last year in 2026, and our actuals, and then we're looking at budget 2027. This number is based on these revenues minus our total operating expenses.
We only have 1 quarter paid.
Correct.
I was just gonna ask
Okay.
that. What does P6 mean?
Yeah,
6 months?
correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Could you go back up then? We got 6 months of fees, but only 1 reading. Correct? Or 2 readings there.
We just did the second reading.
That's not part of the actual fees though. right?
No,
No,
Okay.
that's just one
That
quote.
wouldn't add up to 380.
correct.
Okay.
So same kind of zeroed it or kept it the same across the board for our usual interest, water connection fees, things like that. Miscellaneous revenue, it's being tagged, but there are water connection fees in there. That's why there's no actuals for the water connection fee. It keeps getting tagged into here, but it should be separated out. This is our new admin fee based on a set amount per connection or per user. Pretty much.
Say that again. Admin fees.
So
Isn't the admin fee for the office?
correct.
Okay,
It's the admin fee for the office. Our previous one was the very convoluted splitting by
right.
percentage.
and we put a set amount and
We put a
just
set amount.
increased it by
Yes.
whatever we increased the.
Yeah, it's not getting actual timely enough, I feel. But that's something that we need to work on internally. That's on us to do that. And it's probably because just the new system, it's figuring out the amount and then figuring out the hours. This is something I'd like to look at some point in the future, just to make sure that this is accurate.
Well, at the end, that should be the number,
Correct,
because that's what we're paying ourselves to
correct.
do the work.
Yes, that's what we calculated as. It's less than it originally was in terms of our previous 25. But it was, we came up with a certain number that we're using,
Right.
which is a fairly small number per user. And that's our admin fee. A little bump in postage, just because we're probably going to be doing more postage related materials because of our water line projects in the coming years.
Can you go back up just to the revenue a minute? So we're budgeting $5,000 of new money for people to hook on. That's new connections.
Correct.
I think that's off. I really think for
Low-
Wi-Fi,
low
I
or
paid,
high?
I think it's low.
Oh, okay.
I think it's I thought we made the motion $750 last year per hookup. I know that's what I paid.
I mean, it's always a
That's only
guesstimate.
6 hooks. That's all I think.
Right, it's always a guesstimate of who
Okay.
might connect to the water system. You can see, we budgeted for miscellaneous revenue, we budget 5, but we
Right, okay.
brought in 13.
But
And
that's a
some,
better problem to have.
and some of that a good portion of that is probably water connection, so it might be over 5, you're right. But it's sort of, we don't really know, we never really know an amount, and so it's just a guesstimate of what the cost might be, and based on obviously
Because
previous.
that's new meters and stuff, you gotta buy.
Yes,
Somebody's gotta buy the new meter.
right, and because the prices have gone up a little bit, it could change. But you're right, we could put that higher, but at the moment, we just sort of keep it low, just in the hopes that we bring in more than we
Budget, right.
what we budget for.
If we can balance the budget with low and we bring in more, we're better off.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Electricity we dipped down. We originally were at 32.5 and 25. We jumped up to 44. Jill investigated, and we think it was an issue with one of the motors that was having problems with the pumps. And so at the moment, we're about halfway through, we've gone through about 15,000. So we're hoping that has fixed that issue that was causing higher electricity costs. And so we put in a 35,000 for that, given that we're about 15.5 right now.
Everything's soft start down there now, isn't it, Jill?
Yes, it is, but it didn't make a change in our energy bill for a year and a half. There was another issue with another component in the control cabinet that had to be updated.
Yeah, but now we seem to be seeing better electricity usage or less electricity usage.
And we should see less
Correct.
as the water project goes on and we.
That's right. Yes, because it should be less pumping.
Right.
Yeah.
Less leakage should equal much less pumping, which would be lovely.
But electricity costs have gone up.
Correct. Yeah, not
a great deal, but
no.
there's a lot of hidden fees. There's the Elmore Ash bore fee and all those other fees.
Right.
I know.
But actually, our kilowatt usage should drop by quite a lot. A, because we fixed the problem, and B, because.
And if it doesn't, there's a real problem.
We'll find it a lot faster this time.
Operating contract is obviously set. We have that in terms of VTOMs, and then the contracted services, I've just level funded as well as we go through and it's for any number of things that happen throughout the year to improve the project or the district as a whole. We had supplies and we had meters, touchpads as separate. We brought those two together last year. And we have our debt.
Just a matter of fact, the connection fees are somewhat offset by the expenditure of the meter sets in your operations contract in a way.
Right.
The meter sets are about 750, and then we observe the connections as part of our ops contract. So it's good in a way that there's partial expense, but there's also the ability for the water system to earn some of that connection fee to put towards your operating expenses in that year.
So debt service, we have our current loans and we have our new one here, the Pine Street, that began a couple of years ago. And then in a couple more years, we're going to have our next loan come in as well. Last year we bumped, or 2 or 3 months ago, I should say, we bumped our capital water equipment fund plan to 100,000. My recommendation is to bump it another 25,000 this year. And the reason is because as this project moves along, we are going to have quite high jumps in water costs because we're having a lot more debt service come in. So what we can do is we can use the fund plan to pay down some of that in each budget cycle. And so you would put 125 away and you would start to pay 125 from your debt, pay it down using the capital funds to soften the increase. If you don't, it's the same thing. The water users are paying now versus in a couple of years, but it prevents you from having a tremendous jump as we get into the next couple budget cycles.
Can I give you one clarification, Ian? The way that funding works is when you lock in your loan, they fix the payment for the term of the loan. So you'd want to pay your principal down and only finance the portion of the loan that you wanted to have that equal payment over your 30 or 40 years. Just as a by the way. So you'd want to bank it, and like 26 and 27 are your construction years for Bristol West. So 28 is when the loan will close. that's when, let's say it's 3.9 million. If you had 500,000 saved up, you would only take 3.4. And that way your payment is fixed and it's lower.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
They don't let you pay the loan down to make the payment smaller. So if you took the whole, if you took it at 3.9, your annual payment would not go down. They don't do it that way. You would be paying more principal, right? And so therefore your payment term would end up shorter in essence, but they're not going to change your annual payment.
So we want to reduce the amount that we're borrowing.
You do, yep, right when you go to close your loan, you want to go ahead and say, we only want to borrow 3.4, thanks. And you just do not, you pay your project down with your capital. And
Fantastic.
you don't borrow the total amount. That way you don't end up with the 70 or what is it, like $110,000 a year loan? It would
It's
end.
174.
There you go. So you get that to come down, whether it's 400,000 or 500,000 or whatever grants you might happen to be able to pair with that, or whatever forgiveness you get. You try to borrow the least amount of money.
Right. So we can do that. So yeah, we were originally, increasing this to be able to, with their calculation spreadsheet, reduce that. We know that in this phase 2, we're not going to give any forgiveness because we don't have enough debt, even though we have a lot of debt. But increasing this each year, even by a little bit, definitely helps us because we pay that chunk in a couple of years. So that's great. Okay.
Yeah, it also sets you up so when you put in your budget and you look at the cost per user, you'll be at that 1% of median household income where you start to get that grant.
Yeah.
So multiple reasons why you're doing exactly the right thing.
Okay. Great. Yeah, so 125, but overall we want to go to 3.48 increase, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
Yeah. Yeah, there's you guys, I think we've been getting the impression that the capital roads paving, that's supposed to go into Eric's budget. That's not supposed to be covering for paving a spot that you dug up.
Right.
I brought that up some 12 years ago when I first got on with Bill was here. And Pine Street was a perfect example of why that, when you dig up a road, it reduces the life of that road. And that's gotta be paid for a budget. That's gotta be paid for paving last year, $3,689.10.
Okay.
It's supposed to be a $2,500 flat fee going into capital paving. And like I said, Pine Street was a perfect example. We ended up had to redo that whole road. So let's say it was 10 years, went to 25. So $25,000 of paving went to Pine Street out of the capital road from Eric's budget from the water department. If you do it in theory.
I see. Okay.
You see what I'm saying? It wasn't to pay for a dig up. That should
Yes.
go under contracted services,
Yes.
not the
I see.
contracted services
Okay.
paid for the digger and the manpower and the
Okay.
connections. And then the paving was, we can take it out of the capital paving fund. No,
Got it. Okay. So we're bolstering the capital paving through this
Right.
because the water district is going
because
to
it breaks down the road, the quality of that road.
Okay.
You keep breaking it up, and Pine Street was a perfect example why that I kept harping about. You're reducing the quality of a road when you keep digging it up. And
Do you recommend, I mean, you said it was 25, that's what we originally had it as. We raised it because we were calculating based on expenses for
Right.
certain projects. So
the
we raised
expenses
it.
should go to contracted services.
Okay, so if we raise it, do you want to just keep it at 3 and have 3 go to the capital
Yep.
roads? Okay,
Yep.
just over time. I mean, it's a small amount and we haven't, it's been 3 for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we'll look at that.
And
That's a
not
good- that's
pay
a
for
good point.
paving, like I can see
Yes,
six hundred and
That's
twenty-two
right.
dollars
That
already.
is a particular bill for paving as opposed to going to a fund and then coming up. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I didn't know the history of that. Okay.
I mean, that's
I
what
don't
we,
think I knew the history of that.
Yeah.
Me neither.
He preached that for years and finally got it.
I mean, it was, I mean,
And
Pine
then
Street.
he got it, but he didn't get it.
I mean, Pine Street was a
Yeah.
perfect example. We
Yeah,
ended up had to grind the whole street and pave it all.
yeah. Okay,
Cause it was so bad of all the water connections.
The next is sewer.
yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna go over there and listen to sewer.
Yeah.
We got sewer,
So I can
sewer
see-
and police, so you can just sit right there.
Yeah, we don't have any in this year.
Sure.
So we're done with the water and
Yeah, that was
on
water.
the on the sewer.
Okay. We've got that sewer here.
We're late. Are we late? Yeah.
Late?
Then we're supposed to do it
20
at
minutes.
6:50.
20 minutes.
Look through this one.
Well, we did have an interruption. so-
That's true. Shouldn't have let that person in. Okay. Sewer, obviously a little bit smaller budget, smaller, connections that we have to it.
Michelle's got a lot smaller budget.
It's tiny.
Yes.
I mean, really haven't changed
3%,
much, but
3%
Switch
increase
up the
there.
engineering.
Where are we at with figuring out our BOD from our restaurant? Are we any closer to having that?
And our grease tracking or grease pumping, how are we?
yeah, I just saw an invoice for
Right.
the grease traps.
The grease traps are every 2 months for the splitter box and the 4 outdoor. I still don't have the testing for the manholes. I still think it's not gonna be pinpointed because none of them are specific to an individual connection. They're all commingled into manholes.
But aren't we building the 4 that don't have grease traps? We had discussed this plenty of times in the meeting, that
We're paying for the 4 that have grease traps and then billing them exactly the same amount. So it's an in and an out. It's the 4 outdoor. Other than that, the remaining, let's call it 6, are required to make sure that theirs are cleaned on a regular basis as well. They're supposed to be providing documentation to us on that. One has it right there if I go in and ask for it, and the rest say they're doing it. But I've never seen documentation.
Isn't that, if that's a requirement, can't you issue a fine if they don't provide it?
I'll have to read through exactly how our ordinance reads and determine how we could go about that. I know I'm 75% of the way through the water read. I should be able to wrap it up tomorrow, and I've got, I don't know, 20 that had them covered in snow and ice or other stuff in the way. And it's like, I know for a fact I can slap a $25 fine right on their doorknob. Haven't done it yet. So I'm not sure how much you want me to do the, there's quite a bit of enforcement capability within our ordinances. I'm just not sure how much you want me to.
Yeah.
It probably will only take 1 or 2 times before they
without
will.
mentioning any names. I don't wanna hurt the businesses, but without going public with the names right now. What are we looking for to split that up 4 ways? If the 4 that aren't giving you, oh yeah, I do it, but they don't show us any documentation. Is it a couple $100 a quarter?
How much
it-
would it cost if the town was to contract? The problem is that the other ones are inside their buildings. They require like entry with a key and into their private space in their basement. The other 4 are outside.
So they obviously just play the devil's advocate and they're not doing it. So do we split we'll eat half of that to splitter box and they eat the other half divided by 4? If there's 4 of them.
I wish I could tell you we're capturing it at the splitter box. What's happening is it's getting in past the splitter box. Like the quality of the leachate coming to the splitter box from the septic tanks is very high BOD. So it has to get captured before that. That's why I was thinking if we could get somebody to help us find some funding to put a grease trap ahead of our influent manhole, that would be the way to make sure that a grease trap is capturing the grease before it comes into the septic tank and the splitter box. That's our only treatment. We just have primary treatment, it's just settling. There's no other treatment at all. It's a very, very simple system. So it would be, in my mind, even though we could certainly require all kinds of pre-treatment, we could also, I don't know, we could put a grease trap. That's not going to fix people from dumping a beer down the drain, though.
No, it's part of the education, and we're still sort of working on that and trying to figure out the best approach to take.
I mean, 3%, 2.9 that's a good budget.
Yeah,
Not that bad, but-
and part of that is sort of trying to find funding for larger scale projects that are going to help us, because that's really what we need.
Jill, on a scale of are you thinking like 1,000-gallon tank above the splitter box that would be checked every month for grease.
You're probably looking at something like a 25 or a 3,000, I would think.
Yeah, it would need to have a little bit more volume based on our flow, because the flow to the grease trap for each one of the restaurants is based on the flow from their restaurant. We're talking about all the flow from all 34 connections going through. So, yeah, Peaker's right. It would need to be a little bit larger, maybe 2,500 or 3,000. And I'm sure that there's a designer I could think of that could probably perform that calculation for us. It's just finding in my opinion, it would pretty much need to be some type of pollution grant so that this small community in this historic downtown could get that additional treatment they need for the high BOD and TSS and fat soils and greases.
We don't really have room to stick that down in front of the tanks. It would almost have to go up on top of the hill.
Oh no, so there's room between that first manhole that's at the bottom of the hill and the hatch that's just before the septic tanks. There's probably 20 feet right there.
So it would fit.
It would totally fit. And it's grass right there. It's the only spot on that whole field that's actually open. I kind of went, ooh, I do have room for something right there. And it's right in line with flow. And it could still work by gravity. And the truck's already down there cleaning out the splitter box. They could put another couple hoses on and just clean that grease trap out at the same time. I would love if the grease trap clean out would be maybe just a fatty portion and not all the liquids, given that it's like by the time you pay for the trucking and the disposal, it's like almost 40 cents a gallon. So
Yeah,
I
but
would,
they're gonna have to, the only way they're gonna get the fat is if they got the liquid to mix with it.
that's true. So I mean, maybe what we need to do then is split that between all the, it would be another cost for the system is all. Is if it was done every 2 months and it's 2,500 gallons, 2,500 times 6, 12. What's that, 15,000? 15,000 times 0.4.
Would be to pump it every year.
Every 2 months.
Pump it every 2 months would be another like 4,500, 5,000 a year in disposal costs. Just like this is the reality is we would need money to put it in there. So if we could get the construction costs, at least design and construction covered, then we could just add the 4,500 or 5,000 to the budget, but it would, $5,000 to a $60,000 budget is going to add, what is it, like 8%?
Well, I was gonna ask, can you change that number to get it 25 or 50,000?
Is this one?
To 55?
50,000,
Oh, 50.
just playing here for a minute. That's a 44% increase. Okay, that's, you told me everything you wanted to do.
No, it would go from 23,750 to 28,750. Or from 25 to 30,000. It's about 5,000 a year.
No, I was thinking, buying the tank, if we just said, have a bullet and do this.
Yeah, it wouldn't go to 50,000. It would go to like 30,000 is what that line would do.
Yeah, but that's not buying a tank and getting that contractor in here to put it in.
No, she's saying
What
if
I'm
you
saying, I really feel like we need a grant for that. There's only 34 connections. You're not gonna get 34 connections to pay for a $200,000 project.
So my question is you were talking about the extra 4,500 it would cost to pump it. Are you thinking that then would be split among the other six, or you're saying it would be split among all the people with the grease traps?
Yeah.
I think you have to.
That's a good question because we could start to create a billing structure wherein the billing structure takes into account the strength of the waste.
But then to have a way to measure that accurately for each user,
No,
right?
I'm just saying.
None of them have like a sample port that comes off their line.
Right.
So
That would be
instead you'd have to go under like average use like they do with how you design a wastewater system.
Right.
Average use based on function.
That bill once every quarter. You know, if you've got a restaurant, I think there ought to be a restaurant fee on this sewer bill.
Mhm.
You pay us the bank or here, this office. Or the little hairdresser or Bristol Redemption. They've got no food, no nothing. You know, I should split it by 40. I realize they all, but the users that are got restaurant, they gotta have a restaurant fee. We gotta call it a sink fee or a restaurant fee or something. It's
You
got-
can even call it a high strength waste fee because you're gonna have other types of users that are gonna have high strength waste as well, that might have just like high ammonia, right? Like hairdressers, it's a lot of ammonia in their hair products.
chemical at the hair salon maybe, or the, at the brewery here.
You want to get a grant to do a full evaluation of every user of this system.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
exactly what every user outputs or puts down their drain. And then from there, you would build a plan to be able to work in fees for particular users. That's the only way you could do it fairly. But we need money to be able to, it's almost like a scoping study of.
The board mind if I do a little research, I might ask the guys at the sewer plant in Middlebury,
Sure.
what do you do for your restaurants, or,
Yeah.
Babbitt, or
Yeah.
Craft, or.
Yeah, and Joel, the person that's the expert in this at the state level who's retired, but he's a consultant, but would have a conversation is Randy Bean.
Okay.
Just so you know, like if you wanted to have that conversation, he knows exactly how to figure out the whoosy whatsies.
When Alan
Alright,
was on the
well,
board, we tried to get a grant for, remember, so we could reduce or thin out our VOD.
I feel
Yeah.
like we could get it. I really do. I think we're in a good position given the fact that we're maxed right out. We're a small town. You guys have that historic district. It feels like we should be able to position ourselves that this is to continue the vitality of the village downtown and to reduce pollution.
VOD, but we're not even halfway to, well, maybe we're 2/3 of the way.
The gallons.
The gallons,
Right.
we can dispose
We're,
of.
Yeah.
we're like half on the gallons and we're like 100% plus on the what we would call high strength waste or organics.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion on this budget?
What's
No.
what's the error one that's in there, Ian? Is the bottom number calculating correctly?
No, he needs to fix the,
What am I
Okay.
fixing?
I just wasn't sure if the number was truly calculating everything from top to bottom or if something was not, maybe not stated because there was an error in the calculation.
Mine's got a division /0, but but there's no numbers in that column, so.
Is there supposed to be, or does it not impact the total?
Finish our bond payment or?
maybe
Yeah,
it's the
probably
width
would.
of the, because that'll do it too. A
Yeah.
problem with the formula
What's-
or a problem with the width.
Yes. What's the number you have there? 61,990?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh,
Okay.
okay, that's all I wanted to just double check that there wasn't a big surprise that it went up more.
It's correct.
Phew.
We ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Budget review, continue budget review for 26-27 on our town budget.
Great. Thanks, Joe. by the way.
Thank you.
I thought,
Town budget or
I thought
police
you said you
budget?
were gonna move forward.
Well, this says town.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
I didn't see the town budget. I saw the police budget. Town budget wasn't on the website.
It's in base camp. I didn't share the whole, I shared the
Damn
spreadsheet.
it.
Well, I did the spreadsheet because it contains all the personnel.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and so when I'm showing it here, we'll see it, but there's also police too. There's everything.
Okay.
All right, let's see.
I didn't look there. I knew there was a.
Well, I've been
but I
reading it
was
today.
gonna put it in my laptop and then I will be.
That's fine. All right, here we go. That's where we're at currently.
You better make that bigger.
Yeah. The number or the
The
magnification?
screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not the number, keep it low.
On the lower high, it's just I couldn't see what it was. So public works isn't going up at all?
12.2%.
Yes.
Well, it says well, I was talking about non-tax revenues, it says 0.
Right.
Correct, because those revenues, we just usually level fund them because they vary each year. And we'll get into that in a little bit. So that's where we're at. We were at 8 point something last year. Now we're at 12.8. We don't have a tremendous amount of wiggle room. Everything that Greg has gone through with department heads is actual costs or things that are needed. Our biggest wiggle room in terms of changing or making any big impact with that number is capital reserves. If we wanted to change any of those.
I don't change any of them, they're gonna go up, not down.
Yeah, but that's a lot to ask
Yeah,
in addition to the
but
state.
you know, the thing is,
Pay me now or pay me later.
you know, we've sat and we hammer and hammer and hammer to get to 3 or 4%. And now this is what's happened.
Well,
You can't,
school's going
when-
up 17.
you can't start out in the hole and expect to increase your services.
Yeah.
When you plug in your raises, which Joel, you wanted to do right from the start, is to plug in your raises in the beginning and then do the rest of your budget. Those raises put you at a deficit to start. Even
They
if
probably, if you flat leveled everything except wages. and
you would
everyone-
still have an increase.
We'd still have probably an 8 or 9% increase.
I don't know if it'd be that much, but you take, salt went up, salt went from $60 a ton to $90 a ton.
So then we
So either you buy a third less salt. Or,
let's have that conversation. Do we say to Eric, then unless the sun is shining or before, if it doesn't get dark, after dark, we're done, we go back to sand and we mix a hot load. I don't really want to, but if that's, I don't know what his salt line looks like this year. Did you increase it by a third?
Yeah, it's everything is up. So, I mean, looking through, we've got our usual revenues. A lot of these are just level funded. I dug into the National Forest payments and got actuals for that. So we've been budgeting 1,550, but we usually see about 19,000. And so this just gets closer to what we're actually getting. Same with this, we're budgeting higher, but really we're only getting $400 for this the Fish and Wildlife fees. And then our current use, we've usually budgeted 84, there's all revenue, but we've been getting 96, so I put it up to 95 this year.
Okay.
But again, these fluctuate and change over time. And these are just estimates. So obviously, the majority of our revenue is from taxes, not everything else coming in. So
it looks like there's been somewhat of construction, and by my look, this year and last year, Firehouse Drive is now 2 years old.
Mhm.
The grand list has grown some.
Sure, it has, but it's nowhere near what our costs are, unfortunately. A huge portion of our costs are personnel. As Greg talked about 2 weeks ago, when we talked and did a budget presentation, almost all are going up around 5%. You have a couple higher ones, planning and zoning and grant, that increase in hours.
Right.
Has made those go higher. And then we have within Public Works, we have a higher one there because of a job title change.
Well, I've been going through I read the Rutland Herald faithfully every day, and I saw Brandon, Rutland, West Rutland, Rutland City and town, and they say Rutland. Just tell me what 3.5 would do. Salaries. They're doing cost of living. I saw them all then.
I mean, it's gonna go down, but that would be a discussion you'd have.
Right, I know, right now, I know, but do we wanna sell at 12.5%? 12.8 to the voters, or try to get it closer to 10?
I wouldn't, if you wanna do that, I think that would be a discussion with Greg, he's the town administrator. But in my conversations with him, he'd be very reticent to change anything to do with personnel. If you wanna lose people, that's how you would do that. If you wanna find money that you can reduce by percentage points, you take anything else that you feel that isn't necessary for us to have.
5. I'd like.
I mean, he's budgeting 5. That doesn't mean everybody's gonna get 5.
But regardless of the personnel, because that is hard to change, because then there's like, health insurance and all that stuff that
Right.
we have no control over. I mean, we've done what we can do with health insurance.
Well, we can do a lot more. We
Okay.
had the discussion last year about increasing
What they have to
the,
pay.
if you don't have to take health insurance with us, we had our, we wanted to go higher and that was voted down. But that's the way to do it.
I know, but that to me, like, then you get people who don't go to the doctor.
No, no,
High
that you-
deductible plans.
No, well,
There's-
you have to take
Right.
health insurance. But if we can encourage people not to take the town's health insurance, if they have the ability to do that,
Right, but do we know how many people could do that?
we'd have to look and
Okay.
see.
Right, because that would be a part of the information we would need.
Even if we paid them, we were talking about going from 4 to 7,000. Even if 2 or 3 people took the $7,000 payout, it would save us $100,000 in our
Mhm.
budget.
Right, but we need to know if they could.
Exactly.
Right, but
Well,
I
Greg
guess
has, Greg has said he's gonna do it just to free that money up to be
Yeah.
able to spend
Well,
somewhere else.
right, plus
Yeah.
Middlebury has good health insurance, so.
Right.
I was
yeah,
gonna
that's
say,
what
he
makes
has
sense.
better options.
Yeah, he has
Correct.
better options, a lot of people don't.
No, but I
it
mean,
is-
that option, we discussed that in terms of having it higher to really encourage
Right.
people. We still require health insurance. It's not
Right,
like people aren't gonna have it.
You know,
But
the
I
other,
agree
the-
with what Joel was saying about, I understand that the price of certain things is going up. And I think that the discussion that we're going to have is we can either keep doing everything at the same level of service and just keep raising our taxes, or we might need to have a conversation about what kind of services do we provide. And, this is a hard question, but like, when you drive in different parts of the state and different counties, they maintain their roads very, very differently. And I'm assuming it's like a cost and, manpower situation. And so we'll have to decide like, at what price point are we willing to provide services to? And so I don't know if you just take that to the voters, but I guess what I worry about is that the number of people who start defaulting on their taxes who really can't pay it just increases, which then means we are in the hole anyway, regardless of what we raise the rate to. And so if the state is raising 12% and education's going up, what did you say, 17?
I thought they said 17%.
17%, and then we go up 13%. It just seemed like, I just don't know how it's sustainable. Would it be possible to just have a conversation, to ask the people, the heads of each one of the departments to look over their budget and say, if you were trying to save money this year, what would some things be that you didn't need in the budget? They might go in again next year, but are there certain things that you could do differently or do at a slightly different level that might change it?
I
I think-
would be very careful about cutting something out and then putting it back in, because then you basically end up
You're doubling
you double what
double
what your tax burden is. I would be more inclined to say, what service can you do without?
Right.
I just, it's the same with using unanticipated funds to pay down, so you don't pay as much taxes the following year, you've got to make up what you paid
Right,
down
right.
plus.
And I don't think we should do that. I just think that we're getting to this point with these, and we heard this when we went to the meeting with the other select board members. We're getting to this point where towns are saying like, how can we continue? Because with increases this big every year, you get to a point where people just can't afford to live here. And I just feel like
It's a state issue.
it
That's
is,
not just
it
a
is,
town- that's
I
not a town
totally, I
issue, yeah.
totally think that's true. But I do think it's incumbent upon us to maybe have creative conversations with the departments, like,
You know what the sad part of politics is? We sit here and we're having this conversation and we're very diverse in our thoughts and our political views. And we sit here and we have the conversation to try to make it work. And then you get out of here and even as close as the state level now, it's us and them. And that's not the way it should be. And it's horrible at the federal level.
yeah,
I think we do a very good job. Of figuring out what our community needs and giving them what they need with what we have.
Right, and that's the balance. you
Yeah,
know,
it
it's
is the
hard.
balance, and I think it's incredible that we're able to do that, it's very upsetting that once you get above this level, it doesn't happen.
Yeah,
I mean, I hate to say salaries, and 80% of this thing is, well, maybe not 80, but I bet it's 70% is salaries. Is because we know we're still not paying well enough at the highway garage
right,
that we should be,
Right.
at some times, and, but. Yeah,
I mean, you start taking services away, and the ones that get affected most are the ones that are outside the village,
Mhm.
and people are gonna be pissed.
Yeah.
If you start saying, okay, we're not grading your road, we're not plowing your road, we're not standing your road
Yeah,
as much as we.
we're
could, or
shutting down, we're
whatever,
gonna
shut down.
stop it at 10 o'clock and we're not
Right.
gonna go back out until 4 the next morning.
Right.
I mean,
And
But it's not
in theory, Peter, that's what we do.
it depends on the
If it's
storm.
ice, they're out there night and day.
Mhm.
If it's not, if it's snowing hard, they gotta go home by 9, 10 o'clock at nights and get at least 6 hours.
Right.
Well, the issue is if they let it go and then they can't get it off the roads. It depending on how what the storm is.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you take your chance that they vote it down. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you do. I mean, the costs are what the costs are. I mean, I think most of our departments do a good job of trying to keep things within their budget and try not to overpad them. I guess, right, the word I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't
Yeah.
think that I don't think that the problem's coming from like bad intentions
Right.
or, people living large. I don't think it's that at all.
No,
I think it's
I didn't
more.
mean that at all.
Yeah,
whatsoever.
it's just that these things, budgets always increase, like every single year. It's a law, and this is just the way it happens. And I guess what I'm saying is, are there creative ways that we can think through the services that we're providing at what cost? And like we did that with the police, I think, by trying to hire the, community specialist
right.
with the idea that the community specialist makes per hour less than the police officer. And so if there are calls that she can go do and take
Right.
that off their, to-do list.
And follow up.
increases costs, Right.
So paid by the entire town.
Right. And so if there are things like that, sort of creative ways to still provide good services, but, reduce the budget a little bit. And maybe that is stepping back some services, right? There might be certain services that we say, I don't know.
Yeah, but
Your
then
dog
the
gets out,
issue
you go catch
becomes,
it yourself.
they would like more help in the office here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's another $100,000 if you put a full-time
Right.
person, 125,000 by the time you get benefits and everything paid.
Right.
I don't know where it stops. And I really don't know
think it
what,
does.
what
What service
would you be comfortable without?
Right.
Yeah,
I mean-
I guess that's the question we have to ask ourselves.
Right. So we would have to ask questions about, how many new sidewalks we do, when do we repave, when do we replace vehicles, like for the police department or whatever, it's like all of these things that are built into this, they stay in the budget and we just roll them forward year after year. And it's a question of like, if we change those underlying assumptions, that will then change our budget. But it is a decrease in the service level, right? I mean, you either pay for it or you have to change the services.
Or if you change the services, if you change that line item, say rather than every 3 years, you're doing every 5 years, well, then
Right.
you're increasing the budget on the maintenance level to
And
maintain
that's-
that vehicle, so it's like.
That's where we got in big trouble with the highway, was that we were spending more than what the payments were in repairs.
Mhm.
And we did
And
that
so
with
we
with the fire
have
the same thing
we
with
have
police.
the schedule now so that basically the vehicle is pretty much under warranty the whole time we're running it. And then at the end, it's in decent enough shape, so it's worth the money. We're not giving it away when we get rid of it.
Yeah. I mean,
This could be a conversation to have with the public. I mean, it's not
yes,
just one night.
I think it would be a great conversation to have with the public.
Let's just look at a couple items here. Let's look at the building maintenance. I
Yeah,
know Greg said this building,
yes,
I'd rather have a one-time line item on an article. And let them and say, yeah, we need, boom, enough number of items to take care of this building, you're sitting here tonight.
right.
Well, we're putting $500,000 into this building and we need
But
a
we,
lot of money for our share.
I mean, that's up 300%. What if we took that to 25 and doubled it from 12 to 25?
Well, it's not enough. I think the rot and repairs that the windows need, as well as the potential septic issues that are in the building, are far beyond 25.
What-
You could put it in here, this line, or you put it in the building reserve fund. The building reserve fund, we're boosting that by quite a lot this year because of the project next year, because of our shortfall that we had. But you could combine both together, and so you don't take it out of here. Greg's concern about that was that the building reserve fund might be completely used up by the project next year.
My concern here, okay, that 50,000 stays there, and then next year. Okay, do we take it out till we got everything done?
Sure.
Or we take that all out but 12,000, and then we
Yeah.
don't have any increase. I'd
The
rather,
12,000 is mowing, pest control, lift, alarm system, heat pumps. That's essentially where all that maintenance is. It's not projects.
You can't, I was gonna say, you can't just leave it at that. I mean, there's been
Yeah.
maintenance that needed to be done that we didn't have the money for, and we've taken it out of the capital fund, when it probably
Yeah.
shouldn't have been taken out of the capital fund, because we didn't have enough maintenance line items for it.
And the maintenance, I would say that the issues that could potentially come in terms of the sewer system here, the sewer pipes, and the blockage, as well as the rot, would normally go under capital building. But Greg wanted to put it here because of concerns that if our project upstairs runs over by a significant amount, then all of that money would need to be used for that. That would be the priority. But there is, because of the pipes underneath this ground right here, this floor, if anything happens to that, we're in big trouble.
why do we think those?
We're in deep.
Yeah.
Why do we think those are?
Because they're blocked quite a lot, and there needs to be a lot of work done to
Yeah, that's
dig into. the
corner
ground.
right here, they never should have designed it.
Right. Yes,
It's
so but
It's all
I think we
cast
would
iron.
adjust this, I
They
think
didn't use PVC before under
this,
concrete.
this amount here, we would adjust down for next year.
So I'd rather take that and bump it maybe to 24, double that from the 12, and then put another 24 into the capital building. And show the voters that
But it's the same,
it's the same amount of money to get that.
I don't think they pay attention to that kind of stuff. I think they're looking at what the increase is gonna be and calculating
Yeah,
where that extra money comes from.
yeah, I mean, it's a couple big bumps, this one's a big one, and then the actual capital fund. Is 100,000 up from 30, which is quite a significant jump, but once those projects are done next year, we would adjust that down again.
How much that money would go somewhere else and
Yeah, I don't see us dropping.
it's not gonna go out
Yeah, I
of the
would
budget.
say-
It's
I
gonna
would
go
say-
somewhere else in the budget.
I would say, I wouldn't say it come back out. Once it's in there, it's in there.
How much is in the capital building fund right now?
207,000. So this would get us up to 307, and we're about 250
My
short.
dream was always. If we had a $250,000 in that fund, when we start our new town garage, the $250,000 would be engineering and architectural fees.
Mhm.
So you're just bonding for the building and the
Yeah.
upfront costs are paid for.
And there are potentially other funding sources for a building, but at the moment, the building, the projects next year are the priority. And we know that we have a shortfall for this building. The library's good with its grant, but we weren't awarded enough for the work on this building. Public Works,
Can we do the piping this year and the windows next year? Just a thought.
we
The
could-
work upstairs is all one project.
Right, not the
That's that
windows,
Murph grant.
right,
Yeah.
not the windows.
No, it's not the work down here. That's addition that we haven't done over many, many years. So revenues level funded here, just with state aid to highway, it's about 139, but we put it at 115. I don't have a clear idea of how much that changes over the years. You need to look back. Increases in,
So revenues went up
Well, that,
12%? Is that what you're saying, telling me? 12.22
well, total revenues,
total revenues?
yes.
well, that state aid and highways may go up a little because of adding. What's the road down here? Harvey Road,
Okay,
that'll go up a little bit. I don't know how much.
Yeah.
Not enough to worry about putting it in there.
Right,
these are just rough numbers in terms of the what are Fleck-Eddie, workers' comp, things like that. We've got to dial these in, but they're pretty close.
have you gotten that number yet for workers' comp? Has it come in yet?
No,
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
There's
That should be
right there.
insurance.
What's that?
There's 50 right there. 55.
55 what?
55,000 just in salaries.
Yeah.
Right,
That's, I shouldn't say salaries, in salaries and benefits.
Benefits,
yeah.
And is that everybody or is that just?
The garage.
that's just.
The highway.
This is
Highway
just
department.
public works, yeah,
So if you take that over every department,
yeah,
your increase is already above what you
11%.
consider what you in the past have considered acceptable increase, Joel.
yeah, I know. I mean,
Well, health benefits, right there, it's 11.73%
Yeah.
salaries and benefits.
there, so we're
Treasury call.
857 from 771. For the rest of the STEM,
Mhm.
and then we had, if we jump into rec and fire, they're in their separate.
Got the lister department going up 46%, did I?
Here,
Yeah,
it's only because of professional fees, it's bumping here. From two to four,
Appraisal done and no problem.
oh, okay.
Yeah. yeah, it seems off, but. It's obviously based on- yeah.
Okay.
So public works. Little bumps here and there.
Well, Greg said that he was gonna go through and put actual and make sure that stuff was where it belonged.
Correct.
So we put
Yeah, this is from Greg's spreadsheet that he's worked on with Eric.
10,600 in culverts in last year, we're only gonna do 5,000 this year.
That was wasn't that
Like,
for Timmy down for
Yeah, this
the
was 20.
drainage on Pine Street? That we,
Oh, could be.
Yeah,
that
this
that
was 25, this is where we're at now,
Okay,
For
that's why you
20.
went to 5.
yeah. And this is again, with Eric, Greg talking with Eric.
Okay, yep.
For the tree work on number 43.
Yeah,
For the grant that Frida was talking about, would we be able to try to get grant money for that?
for some of it, yes.
Okay,
It's kind of specific in what you can use the grant money for tree work itself.
right.
They
but like
encourage like the ash tree, yeah.
Right.
For damaged trees, it's different. This is Eric suggesting a very large chunk of tree work, contracting with somebody to go around and do all the necessary tree work that needed to be done in one go versus budgeting for it and having bits done throughout the year. So that would be something where it's like the whole area that we wanted trimmed, various streets for clearance for vehicles, things like that. So that's why that's jumped up. Usually we only put around 8,600.
Yeah, that's right.
But 22 gets us the full deal for the whole year to be able to have tree work done. But it could be offset by grant depending on trees.
So that's no planting there. No planting trees.
That's
No,
just
that would be the
That's
grant.
just cut. I'd
Yeah.
like to drop that. I would like to see just some numbers tonight, just to see what if we went that to 18? Took
I mean-
5 out of that.
We can do that, but the 22 is the quote that Eric got. The environmental, this is a new line. And so this is what we spent so far for the environmental issues that we've been dealing with. And so we're putting that at 30.
But here again, that's with the oil spill and that.
Mhm.
Is that,
Do we have insurance? That was a question we were.
that's a one-time fee. I don't think we double that. Like 17, well, not quite.
No, it's
It'll
a
continue.
fee if you have to take more. If it doesn't come back clean, you've got to take more.
Correct. Just think of this as ongoing. Because of the location, because of the materials over there. That's what we need to budget for. It's not a one-time thing. Unfortunately.
Not anymore, it's not.
No.
So when will we spend that 30? Next year? Or possibly?
Possibly.
Yeah.
We spent 17 this year.
Well, this year's not over.
And possibly more. Yeah, 17 doesn't include the new ones that have just come in. So
Did you answer Peter's question about insurance? Did we find out whether we had insurance available for that?
I don't know.
Cause if you don't, there's a fund.
There's a fund, I was gonna say that, the state has a fund.
Salt up a bit, road gravel down a bit. Winter
Yeah,
pack.
well, there's another place where we're gonna get dinged
Mhm.
as soon as we're out of our own gravel.
Gravel pit.
And we end up having to buy 3,000 yards a year, you're $20 a yard now, so.
Do we know how many more years we have left with the gravel pit?
We don't really, Eric's been working with New Haven and
Taking the middle out.
taking the middle out and we're benefiting.
Okay.
Of course, they can't get to theirs if they don't go through ours.
That salt we said, we beat up on salt guy. Yeah. We spent 71 last year, so we're up 7,000 more.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, I mean, all of these, Greg's worked with department heads to get the actual numbers. It's not, no one's padding stuff. It's like what things cost. We've got our debt payments in here, which we know. I've put in this, which is for Hewitt Road. It has been coming out of the capital building fund. And I don't know if we want to have this as a separate debt line item under DPW. Or if we want to continue to keep it take it out of the capital building fund.
What?
I think, I'd almost put it there. So you know what it's going to.
That's what I figured too, but. We never had a discussion about.
Is that the land payment?
Yeah.
Correct. It wasn't put into the budget last year. I think.
Is that the payment every year? Or
Correct.
does it go down
No, that's the thing. Every year.
But it's only,
for 10 years? Something like that. 1 year.
Correct.
Well, 9 or 8. It's been 2 years, hasn't it? It's been 2 years?
Last year, we paid that payment.
No, I think it was year before.
So yeah, we could put it in there.
Yeah, year before.
Year before.
Rec department,
I was hoping to put in another 15,000 paving. I don't think we're getting enough paving done.
Well, that's why we need the law,
yeah,
the local option tax. It can go into paving.
I think the local option tax ought to go to the 3 capital things,
The 3 what?
capital things.
But paving's one of those, right?
Paving
Yeah.
level.
so the benefits are captured in the general fund because we combined, it's. Because of
Right,
NEMRIC, it's
salaries.
difficult to split them out, so this year I've just I'd like to see it, so you could see by department, but NEMRIC is a bit of a bear to try to do that because we're combining it. But know that these amounts, in terms of the benefits, is within the general fund and here, that's why you don't see it. In the rec department.
Yeah, who's doing a good job holding their budget down.
Yes, and they also bring in
Their own
the most
budget.
money of any department.
Now.
I'll bring in money,
So it's elder eagles is the biggest increase we're seeing.
Yes, a little bit increase there, it's also hours payment
Right.
for Jeff this time.
Mhm.
Why did you cut the town hall custodial, just for not using it, or?
Meredith,
I
I think Meredith does some of that.
Okay.
This is,
Okay.
again,
No,
this is Greg working with Meredith on these.
Now, it seemed like town parks, you spent 77, almost 7,800 last year, but you put the mowing down to 5.
I don't know the reason for that,
where are you, Joel?
right?
Line 68, oh, 62. Well, 68's the same way.
Yeah,
Was it 7?
You can count.
well, they spent 55, so yeah.
Yeah.
too far.
Well, 2025, we've already spent 508 this year,
Right,
so. I think partly just looking at that and talking with Meredith about those.
Well, what's the difference between, go back up a minute. Oh, mowing and maintenance and town park maintenance.
Yeah.
What's the difference? I mean, I understand what mowing is, but what's town park maintenance?
Town park maintenance, I think, is like tree trimming, things like that.
So the big cost increases are electricity across the board.
Yeah,
And insurance.
Maybe in a couple of years, there will be grants again for solar panels. We can,
yeah. We don't have numbers in here yet in terms of this. I think we're still trying to figure that out. Obviously, the teen center is gonna sort of change hands in terms of who's running it. So it's just something that they still need to look at. Some of these are directly related to grants they've received, so it's sort of a one-to-one. It'll balance out, but that's why the numbers aren't in there at the moment.
yeah, no, they usually do a really good job of keeping their budget low and. So does fire usually.
Yeah, so again, this is captured in the general fund tab.
They jump on new forms.
That's what I was gonna say too, is that just because of
I think-
turnover?
Yeah,
age?
so,
Well, and age of the uniform.
Mm.
the ones who, the youth, they're coming in, they don't get a jacket or a shirt.
Yeah.
Or a pullover,
Mhm.
it's a pullover, but it's a shirt that says Bristol Fire,
Mhm.
cadet, or.
What are the red flags for? You had blue flags. and
Just
green
comments.
those are, it just comments on like
Oh,
what those things are for. They're over here and I get tired of looking at them, so I just have it in here where it's, if we wanna know, breakout of these things.
It's cleaner that way.
Yeah, just so we don't feel it's like, oh, is this something from last year? It's just, this is like continuous.
Yeah, this one looks good too.
This is the one I hate.
What did, oh,
So-
the appropriate, yeah.
Rescue squad is the same as last year.
What did, July 4th, did they jump, they're jumping theirs up?
I don't have a number for that
I
yet.
think it's 85.
Okay.
Yeah, I know
Have
they've
they
got
got
a,
somebody to run it? Or they got somebody running the show?
Christine's doing the
Christine Lightfoot
GoFundMe page.
Is the secretary, or probably more, I know that, we had a couple people retire, and emeritus involved as well. But I don't know who else is on that, in that group. This is the library budget, so there's a 2.36 increase from last year. So we still, we're in discussions with the library to bring it under the town, so essentially they'd be a breakout. With their own department, or maybe under.
Well, they have their own article,
Correct, but
it
we're,
wouldn't go here,
It wouldn't go there, it would be a separate article under.
you just put it here for the.
it's,
for
it-
watching.
no, it's always here. All the appropriations
Yeah.
are listed together, it's always been.
Cause they're not a town department yet.
No, it's always been like Article 10.
Correct, it's always a separate article, but in
Right.
terms of the budget, how we show it in the town
It's
report, it's all together, it's all the
Yeah, right, but
appropriations.
this isn't part of these are all part of, with the exception of the library, read by, all the other
Correct,
towns.
most of them, because the library, again, doesn't have that stipulation of getting signatures each year, it's its own article, which is why we did the Bristol Rescue Squad, which that was before you arrived tonight. It was essentially because Bristol Rescue Squads, way they calculate their budget could change their budget every year. We made a motion and it was accepted to have them not have to do signatures every year, similar to the library.
But
So if you-
to report those.
Yeah, but report to us if there's big changes, you know, each year. And also it would be its own article, similar to the library, read out every year. But we've exempted them from having signatures just because they're emergency services as well. So, yeah,
I have a conflict with that anyway. I wouldn't have voted because
yeah.
I work for them. Whoops, excuse me.
So yeah, 2.36 for library. So this is in appropriations this year because we're still in discussions. Next year, the library will come out of this and just be under its own department with a full breakdown. And we're still working towards that. It doesn't really change anything. It's a different place.
No, but then
of
you
looking
can
at it.
see
Yeah,
what all the inputs are.
Well,
We used to.
it
get
still gives
those
us a little bit of control, you know,
yeah,
over the budget, but
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. So, you know, the big ones that usually change are the rescue squad and the library. I'm sure there'll be other changes that we haven't updated yet, but it's gonna be fairly small. So that's where we're at with that. So, I mean, yeah, you're right in terms of like bigger changes. I think you need to look at the services that we offer. I think that's part. And I think police department and fire also need to be included in that. Those are the services we offer.
Absolutely.
I know police is their own separate thing, which is on top of this budget.
Right.
But you know, the real way that voters will engage with us on this is by voting something down. It rarely happens. It's happened with the school because obviously their budget's been much higher. But you know, I think we could see some of that this year where there's potentially more engagement because it's at this number. But you know, around the state, towns are in double digits this year, higher than this. And any meaningful change has to come in with large dollar figures. And so I think it's up to us to sort of look at all departments and see where things are at. It's going line by line and taking out small things is not going to make any major changes, unfortunately. So that's the town budget.
And
And let me I'll zip into police as well. Let's do a quick update on that.
So this is the first year of the new contract. We have two more. 27, 28, right?
The new union contract.
Correct.
And if you can up their, just out of curiosity, if you up their salaries by the 40 grand that Bruce thinks would take, what would that do to their?
Well, you want to add 40 to this?
Yeah, I was just thinking, if we wanted to be competitive.
Well, looking at the amounts in terms of the breakdown, I see that we are competitive compared to other towns. I mean, we're up in the $60,000 to $70,000 range. You know, we also have the COPS grant as well. So I don't know.
Yeah, but
Obviously,
that
there's
contract's
a
gotta be
signature.
going away soon.
Well, we've been asked to extend it because we haven't been able to fill that position. But yeah, it's gonna be, you know, much higher than the 6.5.
I think it's just a staffing issue. I think towns are struggling to
Yes,
recruit the.
as is all law enforcement around. So we're at 5.4, so we're now 688 last year to 722.
But he never does, I mean, his budget is never huge.
No, but it's, you know, it's gone up considerably in the last 5 or 6 years. It's jumped quite a lot.
Well, and some of that has to do with the police contract.
Yes.
For the overtime salary, are there any limits on that? That always seems like each year it just grows.
Well, because
Right.
we don't have the fourth officer,
Right. So
they're
there's,
doing overtime.
so there's no way to say like, okay, you know, if people lock their keys in their car, they have to call the AAA
Right.
and we're not gonna take those calls anymore.
The overtime, it's, you know, our note from last year includes shift differential, on call and holiday pay. So that's where some of that comes from. It's not strictly overtime in terms of I reached my 40 hours
And I
and I
have
still need to
things
continue
to
to.
do.
Yeah, I think they're very mindful
Well,
of
the
that.
overtime salary is 49, where you're talking about with a 49 or 45, 970.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's jumped considerably. I mean, we budgeted 17 and 25 and jumped to 42 because of lack of officers. But
Right.
again, I think it's something to revisit as well, and just sort of get a better handle on in terms of how that's being used. Because that is a big part of it.
I've just noticed, because I started, right around the first column, and I
Yeah.
just have noticed such a big increase
Yeah.
in that one that it could be,
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if there's like a solution to it other than hiring, which
So-
we're trying to do, but until we can do
Yes.
that, is there any other solution, or do we just have to eat it until we can?
No, I think with all of these, with every department, I think we can look at it and have a sort of top level evaluation of those services and what that is.
So,
At some point, it'll
Yeah,
be,
You could lower that number some if you had part-time officers, but there
But
again,
then another number goes
getting
up.
them
Right.
to work. Right, but the part-time officer isn't gonna make as much money as overtime pay.
I
Well,
guess
they don't have.
And they
benefits.
don't have any benefit.
my question is. This is 5 months, 91, because we're only got 3 officers instead of 4,
5 or 6, yeah.
5 or 6 months. So this is fully staffed.
Correct.
So if you're fully staffed, do you need the 45 for overtime?
Right, that's the question.
So that's the $1 million question.
Yeah.
Right. I guess.
And
we're
again,
starting
it's-
low, right?
And again, it's the level of service. Other towns are changing,
No, I don't wanna
but in
diminish
terms,
the level of service.
Well, I think
If we're
that's-
gonna put 45 in and we don't think we're gonna hire that 4th officer.
right,
Do we put that at 318?
right.
Well, you gotta put it in there, cause.
Right,
If you're
if you
hiring,
did,
yeah.
Yes.
And we're advertising, so.
Yeah.
We
Or
could.
maybe deficit spent in the 45. I put this down, put this at what we had it at, 42, or even 25, I don't know. Somewhere down in the 20s to 30s, and then say, okay. We overspent that by a lot, but we underspent that by
Right.
the same amount.
Yeah. That's one way you could look at it to try to reduce.
Yeah, but that's not part of the whole overall
Oh,
general
well,
budget,
no.
yeah,
I'm happy with that.
yeah.
5%, my taxes on the 5%.
Yeah, but it has increased significantly.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, sometimes it has to. Is Steve really still on?
Yeah.
probably.
We put him to sleep. He was having trouble sleeping, so he's like, I'm gonna listen to
Yeah.
the rest of the meeting.
I read that draft there, that was all to do with more.
I'm just working on a letter to Cindy here.
That was had to do with more federal requirements of that 2 pages that he sent us with. the
Mhm.
increase.
Well, I had the updated numbers in it.
Yeah, it's our phase 2 project contract. It's like an amendment as we continue to work through it.
So do we skip up to F then, since we already
Yeah.
did E?
Yes, we're on the E.
I need to come.
Come on, let's go. We're way
Moving on.
behind.
Continue discussion on implementation of the local option tax.
Let's just do it.
I have
Okay,
two
fine.
suggestions, but I can just email them to you.
Okay.
Just
You
word
wanna
change.
say what they are?
Just changing the first paragraph, where I think it was like where we taught, or do you?
Remember, yeah.
Okay. Don't trust my memory.
Um,
There were just two small places,
Is
just,
it the narrative or the FAQ?
the narrative, I think it was.
Yeah, I'll put it in.
Okay. I was just clicking around all the documents.
Just clicking around.
No, so it was the other one. Was that the FAQ?
Yeah. All right.
I always read the one first that tells me where you're taking it from and how it will be spent. Yeah, so can you go up to okay, so at the end, so for the first section, lots may also capture online sales.
Yeah.
I would take out creating major new revenue. Because what you're trying to explain is what the tax is there, and then in the next section is where you talk about it. And when you say create major new revenue, without it being in context of how you're going to use
Right.
it, you think, well, do you need that extra
Yeah,
revenue,
that's good.
right?
Okay.
So I would take that out. So what is it, is the first one.
Yeah.
How is it used? And then I had a
And you'll
suggestion,
email it to me.
yeah,
Good.
and then had a suggestion down at the bottom. Okay, so who collects and manages this? The 25% thing does not make very much sense.
Okay.
Like, I don't know how the reimburses municipalities and then the forest and fish wildlife food, like, I can't tell how they
Okay.
are working together.
Yeah.
So just confusing.
State,
Yeah,
the state manages all this.
Yeah,
and they keep
just needs to be
25%.
clarified.
Yeah.
They skim off 25%.
yeah.
Right.
The reason, well, they're not skimming off.
Right.
They're doing the bookkeeping.
The reason it's 5% as an admin fee, the 25 or the 20%. So the reason that's mentioned in there is
Mhm.
because Bristol takes part in the pilot program.
Mhm.
So what I was trying to demonstrate is that even though we only get 75%,
We still
and the
get some
state takes
additional.
25, we actually get 20,000 of that
Right,
25%.
So that's what you should say,
Yeah.
so because Bristol
Yeah.
participates in this,
I
even
mean, that's
though.
what I attempted to say, but I
Even though the
didn't say
state
that.
takes
Yeah,
You pay it.
5%, you still get 20% back.
correct, yeah.
Okay.
Which
that
is, which
part-
is confusing, like, I don't think it's digging into that, not a lot of people know, that, like, you could say like, oh, state is taking 25, but we
Right.
actually get some of that 25 back. Anyway,
Exactly.
because Bristol,
Right,
you know,
So-
as do a lot of other towns.
right, so even though it looks like 75%, it's
Yeah,
actually
it's actually a little bit more because of the
So you
pilot
just need to say that a
program.
little bit
Okay.
more,
Okay,
yeah.
I would add the word after motor vehicles purchase. Just motor vehicles, you know.
oh, okay, yes, motor vehicle purchases, yeah, okay.
Yeah, but otherwise I thought it looked good.
Okay. Yeah, so the big change, there wasn't much change throughout. The biggest change was adding in minimums
The
for things.
minimum.
We didn't have numbers and before we had numbers internally, but I didn't include numbers on that first round. This round, by having a minimum, at least it gives us some flexibility. We wanted to make sure that we weren't locked into something. If we just said we're always going to spend this much on capital infrastructure, but by putting a minimum in, that can sort of adjust as we go year
Yeah.
by year. I mean, again, this is something that we're testing to see if it's going to work for us.
Right,
Um,
no, but it shows the priority, like how we
Right.
intend to spend it, so I thought that was good, I liked seeing that.
Okay,
And then I also liked the end where you say, remember, if you don't like this or you don't think it's working, you can
yes,
vote
you can
against
vote,
it in the
yeah, you can vote
future.
to have it change.
Right.
Yeah.
It makes it feel like, it's not such a commitment.
Yeah, and sort of having this be immediately say like, okay, what is this? And then who's using it? How are
Right.
it's used? You immediately say, all these other towns are doing it.
Mhm.
You're already paying that money
Mhm.
in those other towns. Make people pay that money when they
When they
come to
come to
Bristol.
Bristol, yeah, no, you made that clear, I thought
Yeah.
that came across very clearly.
Good,
I thought the rest of it looked really good, very compelling.
good. Yeah,
So
we,
you went, you both had a discussion, we're gonna have at a later time, you said capital things 55 or.
Yeah,
50%
again, minimums, yeah.
Minimums.
So just the idea that that would be the priority, where that money would go into those capital funds.
Yeah, and I put together sort of a web page too. Let's
Exciting.
just share that. Let's see.
I
And so
kind
we
of,
could share this out.
I kind of feel like I should transfer my select board salary to you. Because you do like triple the work that I do,
Yeah.
so.
It's because I want it to pass, that's why.
Well, I do too.
So this just gives, it's a web page that we can share out versus giving out handouts or emailing a PDF. Just sort of, again, making it look slightly better.
Yeah,
Helping people understand what this is and why they should vote for it. So again, you're in
Great.
the company, who else is using this?
Where
Where will
does
the
it
money
go?
go?
Harrisburg is.
and I like this property tax, that's a
Yes.
very, I like that, that's very persuasive.
Yeah. And it's not, I mean, you can put it as a versus thing, it's a little bit. You're not trying to,
And one against the other?
yeah, it's a comparison to sort
Right.
of show like.
To show
this is-
how, if
yeah,
you wanted to raise
if we
the.
wanted to raise, if we just put a 250,000 line item in the budget,
Mhm.
like that's what it would be if this was your home. So and the idea is that you're not raising taxes. I mean, this is gonna go up in other ways, but not through this.
Mhm.
And then the sort of breakdown of what it would be, the addition, and then the timeline.
Now, just out of curiosity, I don't know if you guys know this, so if this goes into effect.
Yeah.
Right, adds that additional 1%, does the state, like all the computer software that all these people have, does the state do that, or do they have to go in and modify all of that and then send payments?
When they send stuff to the state, they add it in as part of their business. But I think a lot of businesses already know how to do that.
Mhm.
And the state will help them through that. Yeah, so, we'll update this. You had a question about the breakdown?
Well, one of the things we're not going to get it out of the grocery, I mean, the groceries and those things, medical is not taxable. I would really like to see it not, tax on electrical or oil, fuel oil to heat your home. Or propane or wherever.
As far as I know,
Be paying a tax on that.
yeah.
You're paying about 5 taxes.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I don't know about fuel oil, but with the electrical, we've talked about this before, you aren't charged for the kilowatts that you use. You are charged with those extra charges that the electrical company has.
It's not a tax, sales
No,
tax.
so we talked about that. I emailed you about.
I know there is for
If you could
Is
send
what
me,
it goes, right?
well, I wanna confirm that. But the information I found.
I show you the light bill.
Well, that's why I emailed you about that to send me those details.
Okay, I didn't
So
get it.
if you can send me
you
that.
sent it to base camp, I can't.
No, I sent it to your select board a few weeks ago. So if you can send me those, then I can see, because I'd like to know if it's for business versus residential. But definitely residential, your kilowatt usage isn't taxed as part of that sales tax, only the other things are. So there's that.
Looks great.
Moving forward,
Yeah.
select board concerns, Joel.
Oh, I had one, let me think, Peter, I'll get back to you.
Oh, no. Now or never. Ian,
Nothing apart from what I've talked about this evening.
Jessica,
I had already shared, but it was before Joel got here. But just a resident from Briggs Hill had emailed saying, are we going to work on Briggs Hill this year? And I explained the FEMA situation, and that, it was still on our list, but at this point we didn't have funding. And I suggested that he contact Greg and gave him Greg's email address, if he wanted it added to the agenda so we could talk about it. So that was
That's what I talk about.
I know, but sometimes people just want to talk, even if they know we can't resolve it right now, they still might want to talk about it as far as like, don't forget us,
No,
So,
frustration.
but he understood the budget issue. I think he just wants it to keep it on our list of things to do.
let's make sure we continue to think about it.
Right. But that's all I had.
Michelle,
I'm good.
and I am good. Any other business for the
Just-
good of the order? Oh, did you get it?
Yeah, talking to the emergency management director the other day that we know, we can now we cannot reapply for Briggs Hill to FEMA,
Mhm,
because we've given it up.
mhm, right.
So,
We
It would
knew
have to
that,
be-
we knew that when we did it.
Yeah, it would have to be like
A new one.
transportation grants or some other grant, yeah.
Any other business for the good of the order?
No,
Correspondence,
no,
executive session,
no.
Michelle,
makes us adjourn.
I'll second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
I'm getting hangry.
Yeah.
Did you want to see him? That just had that note about what?